Jordan. Tonight, we're talking about some exclusive NBC News reporting about a man who spent more than 2.5 years in a Mississippi jail waiting for a trial that actually never happened. Sinatra Jordan had been accused of shooting at 2 police officers, setting off an intense car chase through the streets of Jackson in August of 2022. Officers opening fire on the car that Jordan was driving. It ended with Jordan's friend, who was in the passenger seat, getting shot in the head. She had to get multiple surgeries to remove the bullet from her brain. From jail, Jordan told investigators what happened. I want you to listen to the audio of that recording obtained by NBC News.
Them folks started shooting for no reason. So if you ran, you wouldn't know what to do. Somebody just up and get to shooting.
So Jordan's version is very different from what one of the officers involved in the incident said.
You could hear shots real loud at that time because we were going a reduced speed because of the tires, and they slowed down.
But here's the crazy part of it all. The case took this dramatic turn back in December of last year when the officers were each indicted by a grand jury in Jordan's case. Then, on March 11th, Jordan was able to strike a plea deal and walk free. The shooting charges against him were, in fact, dropped. NBC's John Shupe, did I say your name correctly?
You did.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Worked on this exclusive reporting, speaking to Jordan regularly throughout this entire ordeal. You were there the moment that he walked free, right, after spending 2.5 years in jail, no trial, nothing, literally not. I mean, your reporting is so incredible because you talk about how at one point he was asking you for updates, not right, really even knowing what was going on with his case as he sat behind bars, just kind of waiting.
Well, this is what was so interesting about this. We were looking into several shootings that the Capitol Police were involved in Jackson.
Yeah.
And this one stuck out because Sinatra Jordan was in jail on the shooting and nothing was happening in his case. So over time, it became not just what happened in the shooting, but why is he in jail for so long?
How did it turn then to the officers? Like that's the key here. So they were going after Sinatra Jordan. They were saying, okay, the way in which you told the story is not true, is not accurate. The officer telling us that you shot at them. They were chasing you, hence why you're now being incarcerated and awaiting trial. And yet then suddenly on a dime, it turns and the officers are being indicted. Do we know what evidence led to that change?
No, I tried to figure out. I got access to a lot of evidence in the case, and there was nothing explicitly in the evidence that I had that pointed to something explicitly that the officers had done wrong. But when a grand jury deliberates, that's all confidential, sealed, the public can't see it, so we don't know exactly what happened inside the grand jury chambers.
So he's not the only one that's being held in a Mississippi jail for an inordinate amount of time without any trial. There are some kind of rules to all this, though, as well. In Mississippi, you got criminal cases that have to go to trial no later than 270 days after a defendant is indicted and arraigned. But they can basically be held indefinitely if they're waiting for that indictment, right?
Correct. Mississippi is one of only a handful of states in which there's no limit to the amount of time that you can wait between arrest and indictment before that 270-day clock starts ticking. And then, of course, after that clock starts ticking, even though there are, just like any state, speedy trial laws, there's any number of reasons why that clock can be paused and trials can be delayed indefinitely.
Wow. I know that your reporting has had a major impact as well on some policy changes in Mississippi. And I want you to walk us through that because these officers that were involved in this shooting, they were kind of a part of this task force in the streets of Jackson, Mississippi, right? And since your reporting emerged, I believe it was in 2023, there have been some policy changes in the way in which these officers, this task force, goes about its work.
Right. When this task force started working in Jackson, it was a big change for them.
Yeah.
They hadn't gotten basic equipment, body cameras, dashboard cameras, and also had outdated policies to reflect modern police standards, including how and when you can use deadly force. And so after we started reporting on these shootings in 2023, the policies were changed and updated.
How's he doing right now? How's Jordan doing?
I think he's slowly getting used to regular life. He's now got some charges on his record as a result of the plea deal.
Yeah.
He's got to find a job, get an ID, all these very basic
parole.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be hard for him to get.
Prohibitive for a lot of folks when you're on parole, and what you do with your life. Yeah. John Shupe, really important stuff. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.